start the 4th edition of the Rajagiri webinar series. As I said, this is the 4th edition. This is Rajagiri Institution's humble effort to start a connect between educational institutions and the industry. Okay, we all understand that higher education industry per se has got a unique need to connect with the industry, especially for the fact that the graduates of higher education industry are soon to be working in these industries. It is more evident for a school which is teaching or which is in the realm of management and business education, like Rajagiri College of Social Sciences or Rajagiri Business School. It is more important than the other higher education institutions to have this connect with the industry. Here, this is our humble effort in that direction to foster academia industry connect, and this is our 4th edition. So far, we had 3 editions done really well. We had the first edition of this webinar series on sustainability. We had the second leg on social businesses, and we had the third leg on the FMCG sector and the challenges that we face in the current situation. So this is our 4th leg, which is focusing on the Indian retail industry. Yes, so I welcome all participants to this webinar series. Let me get to my duties first. Let me welcome Dr. Matthew Watatara Cmi, who is a mathematician by training and has inspired a whole host of generations by his administrative and teaching capabilities at Rajagiri Higher Secondary School. He has been the head of Rajagiri Higher Secondary School, Cochin. He has already also served as the head of Rajagiri School in Dubai. Currently, he is serving as the director of Rajagiri Institutions, which comprises of Rajagiri Engineering College, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, and Rajagiri Business School. With these words, I welcome you, Dr. Matthew Watatara Cmi, Director of Rajagiri Institutions, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. As Director of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, I deem it an honor to welcome you all to this webinar. The COVID-19 global pandemic has had a profound impact on consumers' lives, and we know consumer response to COVID-19 will significantly impact the retail industry. There is still some uncertainty about the pandemic itself, and of course, uncertainty regarding the long-term social, economic, and health impacts of the pandemic. What are some of the emerging trends in the retail industry during and beyond the pandemic is what will be discussed in this webinar being organized by the Rajagiri College of Social Sciences. We are honored to have 2 prominent experts in the area as our speakers. Let me first welcome Mr. Yusuff Ali, MA, the Chairman and Managing Director of Lulu Group. Mr. Yusuff Ali, known for his astute business vision and strategic mind, is a household name in Kerala, India, and in the Gulf countries. Under his dynamic leadership, the Lulu Group has diversified into many areas, retail being the most prominent of them. This retail king is also very closely involved in many social, charitable, and humanitarian activities in India, as well as in the Gulf countries. Sir, a very hearty welcome to you. Mr. Ramesh Menon, who is the Chief Business Officer, Digital Innovation and New Businesses of HT Media Limited, is also here with us on this webinar as a speaker. He has over 30 years of cross-cultural general management experience in multinationals across India, the Middle East, and Africa. He has extensive and diverse experience in the areas of FMCG, retail and manufacturing, and telecom. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Sir. I also welcome Dr.Joji, Alex, Associate Professor, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, and Professor Abhilash Nambudiri, Assistant Professor, Rajagiri Business School, who are also speakers of this webinar. A warm welcome to Dr. Binoy Joseph, Principal, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, and to Reverend Dr. Saju MD, the Vice Principal of the College and the Associate Director. Let me also welcome all those who are joining this live in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Next on the agenda is the opening remarks by our beloved Principal Dr. Binoy Joseph. Speaking about him, he is a human resource management expert with over 20 years of teaching experience in Rajagiri College. Currently, he serves as the principal of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences. He is also an internationally renowned academician and researcher and does visiting scholarly lectures across different universities and organizations. Catholic University in Ingolstadt, Germany, Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo, USA, and the famous automobile manufacturer Audi are to name a few. May I now invite Dr. Binoy Joseph, Principal of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, to deliver the opening remarks. Dr. Binoy Joseph, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Abhilash. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome all of you to the webinar on Beyond the Pandemic, Emerging Trends in Retail Industry. Keynote speaker for the webinar, Mr. M.A. Yusuff Ali, Chairman and Managing Director of the retail global giant, the Lulu Group. Mr. Ramesh Menon, CBO, Digital Innovation and New Businesses, ST Media Limited. Reverend Dr. Matthew Watatara Cmi, Director, Rajagiri Institutions. Reverend Dr. Saju MD Cmi, our Associate Director and Vice Principal. Dr.Joji Alex, Associate Professor in the Marketing Area and Head, Center for Doctoral Research in our Valley campus. Professor Abhilash Nambudiri, Assistant Professor in Rajagiri Business School in the Strategic Management Area. Professor Dr. Sunil Puliakot, Director, Rajagiri Business School. Father Francis Manoharan Cmi, our Assistant Director. Participants from far and wide, which includes corporate delegates, alumni, well-wishers, faculty members, and my dear students. COVID-19 is not just a health crisis, challenges and economic impact on lives and livelihoods. Retail is one of the industry sectors most affected by COVID-19, both in a positive and negative manner. After initial supply and distribution challenges, grocers, pharmacies, e-commerce marketplaces are able to sustain food, medication toiletries, and selected at-home categories. On the other side, often non-essential retail like non-food, apparel, fashion and luxury products are facing store closures and sharp decline in discretionary consumer spending. Those who open the stores are facing new challenges like struggling to protect consumers, employees, and in some cases even suppliers from the invisible culprit, the virus. Pandemic lockdown has inflicted rupees 15.5 lakh crores losses in India's retail trade. According to Confederation of All India Traders, about 1.4 crore retailers, more may be winding up if our government does not extend support to them. So what lies next? Here are some possibilities, challenges and trends in the retail. Possible shift to online and digital mode of purchasing through online purchasing may increase in the short run. More possibility for hybrid and omni-channel purchasing model will become a normal reality. This pandemic sparks 97% jump in e-commerce sales for Walmart globally. Amazon's Q1 sales globally soared up by 26%, but profits fell as COVID-19 related costs went up. Addressing the health and safety concerns both in stores and in warehouses, as well as concerning employees and customers, will continue till the arrival of the vaccine. Those who adopt highest degrees of touchless automation can become a differentiator. A recent global leading survey says 69% consumers in stabilizing markets and 80% in advanced markets are fearful for the health of themselves and others at the time of shopping. Now, COVID-19 has permanently altered Indian consumer behavior. According to a study by Accenture, COVID-19 Consumer Pulse Research that surveyed 2,500 consumers in India between March and June 2020. 85% of the consumers in our country said they shop more health consciously, while 85% said they focus more limiting food waste, while 71% felt that quality, safety, and trust are 71% are similar trends. There may be a possible labor resource who can be allocated for broader range of activities in short period of time. Those who are agile and flexible in execution will have an advantage. Store closures and consolidation of stores may accelerate due to cash challenges, but those who survive will bring better in-store experiences. There may be a consolidation of businesses which may lead to mergers and acquisitions, especially in like-for-like businesses. It is not that. Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Industries is set to acquire Future Group's Big Bazaar, owned by India's father of modern retail, Yani. The COVID-19 pandemic crisis tested the degree of flexibility and redundancy in retailers' supply chain capabilities. A survey by B2B e-commerce market research firm Digital Commerce 360 found many challenges faced by retailers. Topped in the list of retailer concerns are product delays, consumer confidence challenges, and inventory shortages. The technological advancement, especially in data like artificial intelligence and machine learning, can support retailers. Now, every crisis also has an opportunity nested in it. How are retailers going to define the next normal? That is, how they define their competitive advantage based on the current experience and future possibilities. We will hear more from our eminent speakers in our panel. We have with us Mr. Yusuff Ali, Chairman and Managing Director, Lulu Group, who is a doyen in the global retail industry. Mr. Ramesh Menon from the ST Media Limited on the digital innovation and new businesses from this COVID context opportunities. And our profound internal faculty, Dr.Joji LX and Professor Abhilash Nambudiri. I take this opportunity to congratulate Father Francis Manovalan, CMI, our Assistant Director, and our staff, Agil Johnson, for organizing this webinar. We are definitely sure that we are going to have a very fruitful and enriching session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Binoy Joseph. Now, without having any much delay, നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ വിശിഷ്ട സ്പീക്കറിലേക്ക് കിടക്കാം, പ്രാസംഗികയിലേക്ക് കിടക്കാം. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് ഒരു മുഖവരയുടെ ആവശ്യമുണ്ടെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്ത് ഇന്ത്യക്കാരുടെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ തൊഴിൽ ദാതാവാണ് അദ്ദേഹം. He is the largest employer of Indians outside India. He is the 21st richest person in the world. അദ്ദേഹം ലുലു ഗ്രൂപ്പിന്റെ MD-യും ചെയർമാനും കൂടെയാണ്. നമ്മളെല്ലാം അറിയുന്നൊരു വലിയ ഒരു സന്നദ്ധ സേവന പ്രവർത്തകൻ കൂടിയാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ കുറെ ദുരന്തങ്ങളിൽ കേരളത്തിന് പുറത്തും പല ദുരന്തങ്ങളിലും മനുഷ്യർ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് പകച്ചു നിന്നപ്പോൾ സഹായത്തിന്റെ ഹസ്തം കൊണ്ട് എല്ലാവരുടെയും ഇടയിലേക്ക് കടന്നു ചെന്ന ഒരു സ്ഥാപനത്തിന്റെ അമരക്കാരനാണ് അദ്ദേഹം. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് അതിനെല്ലാം നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യം അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് ഒരു വലിയ സിവിലിയൻ പദവിയായ പത്മശ്രീ കൊടുത്ത് അവാർഡ് ചെയ്തതുമുണ്ടായി. So it is an honor and privilege, sir, to have you here. And with these words, please welcome Padma Shri Dr. M.A. Yusuff Ali to this webinar series. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Good afternoon to all. Dr. Father Matthew Watatara, Dr. Binoy Joseph, Professor Abhilash Nambudiri, Mr. Ramesh Menon, Dr.Joji Alex, Dr. Father Saju, other distinguished guests, teachers, and my dear students. Today I am very happy to join you all through this webinar. Thank Dr. Father Matthew Watatara, Director, for inviting me to participate in this virtual event. Rajagiri Group of Institutions is today a renowned name among the educational institutions in India, in Kerala, and also in Gulf countries. I appreciate the teachers for their dedication in shaping the life of students. See, as we all know, the whole world is still going through this painful corona pandemic situation. This situation has affected every human being in one way or another. In history, it is mentioned that hundreds of years ago, during such pandemic situation in Egypt and Persia, there were shortage of food product. People were facing great difficulty without food. God is merciful and kind to us. We do not have a food shortage. Let us sincerely pray Almighty, help us to come out of this situation. We hope that we will get vaccine and medicine very soon. We all know that this pandemic situation has affected business all over the world, including me, including my business. In Cochin, my shopping mall and hypermarkets closed for three and a half months now. Many business trends have also changed, especially in retail. Much has changed in the way we do business and the kind of products we sell. The first we see, as my previous speaker mentioned, that the first trend we see is the increase in e-commerce, which we were not prepared before. This corona came suddenly. So we have to cope up with the e-commerce. It is very difficult for a retailer like us to cope up with e-commerce very fast because there's technology involved and this is a delivery cars involved, drivers involved, and delivery boys involved. So it is very difficult to cope up fast. Secondly, with the arrival of this pandemic, our product range has changed considerably. We sell nowadays more sanitizers, masks, gloves in a month when compared with what we have sold in the last 4 years. ഈ 3-4 കൊല്ലം വിറ്റിരുന്ന അത്രയും മാസ്കുകളും അതുപോലെ സാനിറ്റൈസറും അതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ 3-4 മാസം കൊണ്ട് വിറ്റിട്ടുണ്ട്. Health and hygiene categories will continue to grow even beyond pandemic. Now, ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ കൈ കഴുകുന്നുണ്ട്, മാസ്ക് ഇടുന്നുണ്ട്, നമ്മൾ വളരെ ഹൈജീനായിട്ട് ജീവിക്കാൻ നിർബന്ധിതരായിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ this will continue, I think. Working from home is a challenge, but we saw an opportunity in it to sell more indoor games in exercising equipment. When I started Lulu Mall in Cochin, many people discouraged me by asking why I am constructing such a big shopping mall in such a small city. ഇത്രയും ചെറിയ ഒരു സിറ്റിയിൽ ഇത്രയും വലിയൊരു ഷോപ്പിംഗ് മോൾ എങ്ങനെ വരുന്നു എന്ന് എന്നോട് ചോദിച്ചു. ഇത്രയും വലിയ ഹൈപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റ് നടക്കുമോ എന്ന് എന്നോട് പലരും ചോദിച്ചു. At that time I told them that a time will come when you will tell why I have constructed a small shopping mall in a big city. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഈ പുതിയ പാൻഡമിക് സ്റ്റേജിൽ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് വേണം. സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ഇസ് മസ്റ്റ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിന് ചെറിയ സ്ഥലത്ത് സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പോൾ വലിയ സ്ഥലം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ആസ് പെർ ദി ഗൈഡ് ലൈൻസ് ഓഫ് WHO ആൻഡ് ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ, ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഓഫ് കേരള, ആ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് നമ്മൾക്ക് പാലിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ അന്ന് അതിനെപ്പറ്റി നമുക്കൊന്നും ചിന്തിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. നൗ പീപ്പിൾ ആർ തിങ്കിങ് ദാറ്റ്സ് ഈ വലിയ സ്പേസുള്ള സ്ഥലത്ത് പോയാൽ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് കീപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ദ ടൈം ഈസ് കമ്മിങ് നൗ. In this pandemic situation, I am asking how they could maintain social distance when they do not have a big place for their shopping. Shopping in വലിയ സ്ഥലമില്ലെങ്കിൽ social distance പറ്റുള്ളൂ. All our shops are spacious when we always give prominence for safety and hygiene. Even beyond pandemic, customers will prefer spacious shops, social distancing, contactless payments, and sanitized trolleys, etc., etc. See, now we are discussing about the retail. What is the future of retail? How retail will affect? But I was told that a lot of my dear students are also watching. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ റീറ്റെയിലിനെ പറ്റി പറഞ്ഞു. റീറ്റെയിലിൻ്റെ സിനാരിയോ ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നു, പ്രൊഡക്ട്സ് റേഞ്ച് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നു, ഷോപ്പിംഗ് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പം അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷനിലാണ് നമ്മൾ. ഇനി എൻ്റെ ഡിയർ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഉള്ള കാരണം ഞാനൊരു ചെറിയ വീഡിയോ എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫ്രണ്ട് അയച്ചു തന്നത്. ഒരു പക്ഷേ നിങ്ങൾ പലരും ഒരു പക്ഷെ അത് കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടായിരിക്കും. എങ്കിലും കുട്ടികൾ ആരെങ്കിലും അത് കാണാത്തവരുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവർ ഞാൻ ഇന്ന് വിത്ത് ദ പെർമിഷൻ ഓഫ് ദി അവർ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ and our Dr. Father Matthew, permission കൂടി ഒന്ന് കാണിക്കുകയാണ്.
A CEO of a very successful company was about to retire. It was time for him to leave his seat and choose a successor. But he didn't want his children to take his position. He decided that he will choose a young executive from the company for the job. So he called all the young executives to a meeting. I have decided to choose one of you. The CEO said to the employees. Everyone was shocked by the decision. The CEO continued. I am going to give a seat to each one of you today. This seed is very special. Every seed is a different plant. I want you to plant the seed and water it. After 1 year, on the same date, I will see what you have grown from the seed. I will choose the next CEO of the company that day. After judging the plants that you're going to bring to me, there was an employee named Bill. Just like everyone else, Bill was super excited. He went home with the seed and told his wife everything. The couple started watering the seed in a pot. Days went by. Everyone in the office was bragging about how their plants had grown. But Bill was silent. His seeds were not growing. But Bill didn't stop watering the seeds. While everyone else's plants grew tall and beautiful, Bill's seed was dead. Bill was embarrassed by the result. After 1 year, the day arrived. When the next CEO of the company would be chosen, Bill didn't want to bring his empty pot to the office. But his wife insisted him to be honest and take the empty pot to the office. When Bill arrived at the office, everyone had beautiful and colourful trees on their desks. Bill entered the room with the empty pot. His colleagues started laughing at him and mocking him. When the CEO entered the room, everyone presented their trees. But Bill was standing at the back with the empty pot. He was feeling devastated. The CEO noticed the empty pot in Bill's hand and asked him to come forward. He asked Bill why his pot was empty. Bill told everything honestly. All the other employees started laughing upon hearing the story. Bill was terrified. He thought he was about to be fired. The CEO said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the next CEO of our company. His name is Bill." Everyone was shocked. One employee shouted, but he couldn't even grow the plant. The CEO continued. Exactly 1 year ago, on this day, I have given you all boiled seeds, which couldn't be planted. Every one of you changed the seeds and replaced with another, just to show that you were successful. Only Bill was the honest one who stayed true. The whole room went quiet. Bill was not embarrassed anymore, but his colleagues were. The CEO taught the executives an important lesson. If you plant honesty, you will reap trust.
Thank you very much for watching. This is for students. When we are discussing about pandemic, when we are discussing about retail, what could be, but we want to give some good lesson to our students, our future generation. Dear students, today you are the students of this institution, future generation. But tomorrow you will become a businessman or someone responsible in life. But always remember that if you plant honesty, you will reap trust. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, has said that an honest and trustworthy businessman will be considered among the good and truthful. But a dishonest and untrustworthy businessman will be considered among the criminals. This is a lesson. I thought that it is appropriate to show this video and to tell to my dear students. Now we are in pandemic situation. നമ്മൾ ഈ സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ മരണത്തെ തേടി നടക്കരുത്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്രവാചകൻ ഉപദേശിച്ചത് തന്നെയാണ്, മരണത്തെ തേടി നടക്കരുത്. എല്ലാ മഹാന്മാരും ഉപദേശിച്ചത് അത് തന്നെയാണ്, മരണത്തെ തേടി നടക്കരുത്. ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ഈ പാൻഡമിക്കിൽ നമ്മൾ നമ്മുടെ ശരീരത്തെ രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്താനും നമ്മുടെ വീട്ടിലുള്ള നമ്മുടെ പ്രായമായവരെ രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്താനുള്ള ചുമതലയും ബാധ്യതയും ഈ യങ് ജനറേഷനാണ്. ആയതുകൊണ്ട് അതിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കണമെന്ന് അപേക്ഷിക്കുകയാണ്. I also wish to tell all the students hearing me that this pandemic situation has taught us to be always positive. Every challenge comes with an opportunity behind it, rightly my previous speaker too. I quote the words of Birbal, a companion of Emperor Akbar, who said, "This time will also pass." I'm sure Almighty will help us to come out of this situation much stronger. ഈ വളരെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള, വളരെ വേദനിക്കുന്ന ഈ സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ നിന്ന് നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും ഒരു നല്ല നാളേക്ക് വേണ്ടി പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുകയും ആ നല്ല നാളെ ഉണ്ടാകുമെന്നുള്ള പ്രതീക്ഷ, ഹോപ്പ്. ഒരു ക്യാൻസർ രോഗിയാണെങ്കിൽ ആ ക്യാൻസർ രോഗിക്ക് അറിയാം ഇതിൽ നിന്ന് എനിക്ക് രക്ഷപ്പെടാൻ സാധ്യമല്ല. പക്ഷെ ഹോപ്പ് അതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ 2 ദിവസം കൂടി ഞാൻ താമസിക്കട്ടെ, 2 days I will get to live in this beautiful world. അപ്പോൾ ഹോപ്പ് വെക്കുക. This is what I have to tell. Thank you very much, Father, or teachers. I hope that ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ സബ്ജക്റ്റിൽ നിന്ന് ഡീവിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള കാരണം എൻ്റെ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഇനി എന്തെങ്കിലും എനിക്ക് പറയാൻ ഒരു അവസരമാണിതെന്നും കൂടി ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചാണ്. I apologize for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yusuff Ali. Thank you so much for your words of experience and words of wisdom to our students. And I'm not discounting the fact that താങ്കൾ പറഞ്ഞ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിങ്ങിനെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞ ആ ഒരു കാര്യത്തെ കൂടെ ഞാനിവിടെ അടിവരയിടാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മൾ ഒരിക്കലും ഒരു സ്ഥാപനം തുടങ്ങുന്നത് അന്നേക്ക് വേണ്ടിയോ അതിന്റെ തലേന്നേക്ക് വേണ്ടിയല്ല. നമ്മൾ ഒരു സ്ഥാപനം തുടങ്ങേണ്ടത് എപ്പോഴും ഇനി വരുന്ന തലമുറകൾക്കോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇനി വരുന്ന ദിവസങ്ങൾക്കോ വേണ്ടിയായിരിക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു വലിയ പാഠം അങ്ങയുടെ ഈ ചെറിയ ഈ അഡ്രസ്സിൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നുവെന്ന് ഞാൻ സന്തോഷപൂർവ്വം ഓർക്കുകയാണ്. I think that itself is one of the main takeaways for everybody present in this webinar to be taking away as the perspective. അങ്ങയുടെ പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ട് എല്ലാവർക്കും എടുത്തു വരാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം അതാണെന്ന് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു.
And I request our Dr. Father one day, students in a question answer session vechal, I will come and I will answer the questions of our dear students. ഞാൻ ഒരു കാര്യം അങ്ങോട്ട് റിക്വസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാണ്. ഈ ഒരു സെമിനാർ, ഈ ഒരു വെബിനാർ ഒരു 1/2 മണിക്കൂർ കൂടെ നീളുമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു എനിക്ക്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 35 മിനിറ്റ് നീളുമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. അതിനുശേഷം കുറച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ചിലപ്പോൾ ഉണ്ടാവാം. അതല്ല താങ്കൾക്ക് കുറച്ച് ധൃതിയുണ്ട് പോകണമെന്നുണ്ടാണെങ്കിൽ I would request the participants to ask questions to Doctor. എനിക്ക് ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗ് കൂടെ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിന് മുമ്പ് സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനോ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കാനുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ I am ready to answer for 20 minutes. Meeting 20 minutes.
Yeah, that is fine. So now I would request all the participants, if you have a query, if you have some questions, please shoot it to Dr. Yusuff Ali, so that we can wind up this session and he can continue with his own responsibilities.
And sir, tell them to identify themselves.
Yes. Yeah, please identify themselves first and then shoot a question, please. Yeah, we need to be quick in terms of asking questions.
Hello,
anyone,
sir.
Please.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Who's this?
This is George Ali, sir, from PGDMC.
Yes, please, George.
Sir, I have a question about Lulu Group. Whom do you consider your primary competitor, sir? I mean, Amazon or Reliance Retail?
See, we always welcome healthy competition, whoever it may. Healthy competition we love because we want to improve ourselves. ഒരു കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ ഉണ്ടായെങ്കിലേ വേറൊരാൾക്ക് ഉയരാൻ സാധ്യതയുള്ളൂ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇംപ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യാൻ സാധ്യതയുള്ളൂ. Now in Gulf, our main competitor is Carrefour. You know that. We have got 190 hypermarkets in GCC, Egypt, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So we consider Carrefour is one of our main competitor here. Healthy competition, and they are also very big. We are small in front of them. But we try to improve on day-to-day basis. You can see in our hypermarket, lot of changes according to the geographical condition, according to the situation. We are also changing our food products, our non-food products. So we love healthy competition. Thank you.
I'm sure that, yes, Reshma.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am Rajiv from PGDMB. Sir, my name is Nandana.
Nandana. Welcome, Nandana. Yes.
Sir, എൻ്റെ അച്ഛൻ ദുബായിലാണ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ലൈക്ക് എൻ്റെ ചൈൽഡ്ഹുഡ് ലുലു ഗ്രൂപ്പുമായിട്ട് ലുലു ആയിട്ട് ഭയങ്കര കണക്റ്റഡ് ആണ്. സോ ലൈക്ക് ഇപ്പോ ഈ പാൻഡമിക്കിന്റെ സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ കുറെ പേര് തിരിച്ചു പോരുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. അപ്പം അവരുടെ ഒരു ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ആയിട്ട് അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ് ലുലു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് എടുക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ സർ?
ഈ ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ is not for one country, not for one type of people, not for one color people. ഒരു രാജ്യത്തിനോ ഒരു സംസ്കാരത്തിനോ ഒരു കുറച്ച് ആൾക്കാർക്കോ വേണ്ടിയുള്ളതല്ല ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ഈ പാൻഡമിക് സിറ്റുവേഷൻ. ആ പാൻഡമിക് സിറ്റുവേഷൻ നന്ദന ദുബായിലും ഗൾഫിലും ബാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങൾക്കും ബിസിനസ്സുകാരെന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് ഞങ്ങൾക്കും ബാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ 3-4 മാസം ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ ആയ കാരണം ഒരു കമ്പനിയും വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. ആ കമ്പനികൾക്കൊന്നും വരുമാനമില്ല. ആ കമ്പനികൾക്ക് അവരുടെ ഫൈനാൻസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ അസറ്റ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇത് കഴിയുമ്പോഴത്തേനും ഈ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഐ എം വെരി സോറി ടു സേ ഒരുപാട് കമ്പനികൾ ബാങ്ക്രപ്റ്റ് ആവാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. ഒരുപാട് കമ്പനികൾ ലിക്വിഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. ഒരുപാട് കമ്പനികൾ ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷനാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ ഗൾഫിലും വന്നതിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ് ഇന്ന് കേരളത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഇവിടെ വന്ന്. കാരണം കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ഗൾഫ് നിന്ന് കാശ് കിട്ടിയാലാണ് കേരളം നീങ്ങാൻ സാധ്യതയുള്ളൂ. കുട്ടികൾക്ക് മരുന്ന് മേടിക്കാൻ, മാതാപിതാക്കൾക്ക് കുട്ടികളെ പഠിപ്പിക്കാൻ, അതിനൊക്കെ ഗൾഫിൽ നിന്നുള്ള കാശ് മാസം വീതം വരണം. ഏതാണ് കേരളം. ഇതിപ്പോൾ കേരളത്തിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം 3 വലിയ പ്രശ്നമാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ സംഭവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഒന്ന്, ഈ പാൻഡമിക് കൊറോണയുടെ പ്രോബ്ലം വരുന്നു. മറ്റൊന്ന്, ഈ പ്രളയത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രശ്നം വരുന്നു. ഈ രണ്ടിനേക്കാളും മോളെ തന്നെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ് ഗൾഫിൽ നിന്ന് നമ്മുടെ മലയാളികൾ മടങ്ങി വരുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത്. ഈ ഗൾഫിലുള്ളതിൻ്റെ 63% മലയാളികളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കമ്പനികൾ മുഴുവൻ ഈ സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ അവരുടെ അസറ്റ് ഡൈല്യൂട്ട് ആയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അവരുടെ ശമ്പളം അവർ 50%-ഉം 75%-ഉം ഒക്കെ കുറച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. കാരണം കമ്പനിക്ക് വരുമാനമില്ലെങ്കിൽ ശമ്പളം കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുമല്ലോ. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ ആൾക്കാർ ഇവിടുന്ന് മടങ്ങിപ്പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. കാരണം അവർക്കും ജീവിക്കണ്ടേ. പക്ഷെ എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായത്തിൽ ഇതൊരു ടെമ്പററി സിനാരിയോ ആണ്. ആ ടെമ്പററി സിനാരിയോ കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വീണ്ടും ഇതിന് മരുന്നോ അതുപോലെ വാക്സിനോ കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചാൽ, അതുപോലെ പെട്രോൾ പ്രൈസ്, ഈ ഗൾഫ് രാജ്യത്തിൻ്റെ വരുമാനം പെട്രോളാണ്. $80 ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത് $15 വരെ എത്തി. കാരണം പെട്രോളിന് ഉപയോഗമില്ല. അപ്പം നമ്മൾക്ക് പുറത്തു പോയാൽ നല്ല ഫ്രഷ് എയർ ഉണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ. കാരണം പൊല്യൂഷൻ കുറവാണ്, കാരണം വണ്ടികൾ ഓടുന്നില്ല. പക്ഷെ ആ ഫ്രഷ് എയർ നമ്മൾക്ക് വലിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല, കാരണം നമ്മൾ മാസ്ക് ഇടുകയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ കൈ എപ്പോഴും സാനിറ്റൈസറൊക്കെ ഇട്ട് നല്ല വൃത്തിയാണ്, പക്ഷെ ഷേക്ക് ഹാൻഡ് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. ആ ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ജീവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ ഈ മടങ്ങി വന്ന് കുറച്ച് നാൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ് വീണ്ടും ഗൾഫ് ഇതിനേക്കാളും നന്നായിട്ട് ഉയർന്നു വരുമെന്നും ഇനിയും ഒരുപാട് ആളുകൾക്ക് ജോലി കിട്ടുമെന്നാണ് എന്നെപ്പോലുള്ള ആൾക്കാരുടെ പ്രതീക്ഷ. അപ്പോൾ ജോലി ഇല്ലാതെ മടങ്ങി വരുന്നവർക്ക് നമ്മൾക്ക് വേറെ ജോലി കൊടുക്കാൻ നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ് തന്നെ താഴ്ന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ് തന്നെ ഇപ്പോൾ 50% ഉള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾക്കതിന് ഒരു പരിഹാരം ചെയ്യാൻ സാധ്യമല്ല. പക്ഷേ ഈ പരിഹാരം ഈ പാൻഡമിക് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വീണ്ടും അവർ മടങ്ങി വരണമെന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ ആഗ്രഹം. കാരണം നന്ദനെ പോലത്തെ കുട്ടി ഒരു ചെറുപ്പം മുതൽ നമ്മുടെ ലൂലൂന്ന് സാധനങ്ങൾ മേടിച്ച് കുട്ടികളാണ്. നിങ്ങളൊക്കെ വീണ്ടും മടങ്ങി വരണമെന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ ആഗ്രഹം. അത് നടക്കുമെന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ വിശ്വാസം.
Ms. Atira, you have the turn to ask the questions. Atira Paul.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Adira Paul, PGDM ആണ്.
പേര്
Adira Paul.
Adira Paul. Okay, please welcome.
ഞാൻ പണ്ടോട്ട് ചെറുപ്പം തൊട്ട് വിചാരിച്ച കാര്യമാണ് ഈ ലുലു. സാർ ഒരു മലയാളിയാണ്. ലുലു ഇസ് ആക്ച്വലി ബേസ്ഡ് ഓൺ UAE. അപ്പൊ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ കേരളത്തിൽ ഒരു എടപ്പള്ളിയിലുള്ള ലുലു അല്ലാണ്ട് ലൈക്ക് ഇന്ത്യയിലായാലും വേറെ ലുലുകളൊന്നും ഇതുവരെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാത്തത്? ആ റീസൺ എന്താണ്? വൈ ലൈക്ക് വി ആർ എക്സ്പെക്ടിങ് മോർ ഫ്രം യു. ലൈക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ഒരുപാട് ഇപ്പം ലുലു കൊച്ചി എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അതിന് ലുലു ആയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ സിനോണിം ചെയ്യുന്ന അത്രയും തരത്തിൽ വളർന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് ലുലു കേരളത്തിൽ. സോ ഇന്ത്യയിലും കേരളത്തിലും ഇനി ഒരുപാട് സംരംഭങ്ങൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ട് ഇതുവരെയായിട്ടും ഉണ്ടായി എന്നുള്ളതാണ് എന്റെ ചോദ്യം.
ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ഇതൊരു ടെസ്റ്റ് ഏത് കാര്യത്തിലും ഒരു ടെസ്റ്റ് ഡോസാണ്. നമ്മുടെ ഒരു റിയാക്ഷനുള്ള ഇഞ്ചക്ഷൻ ആണെങ്കിൽ ആദ്യം ഒരു ടെസ്റ്റ് ഡോസ് എടുക്കണം. അതുമാതിരി ഞാനത് റെവല്യൂഷണറി സ്റ്റെപ്പാണ് ഇത്രയും വലിയൊരു ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ് കൊച്ചിയിൽ ചെയ്തിട്ട്. നേരത്തെ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി എൻ്റെ സ്പീച്ചിൽ അത് വിജയിക്കുമോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്ന് എന്നോട് പലരും സംശയം പ്രകടിപ്പിച്ചു. പക്ഷെ അത് ദൈവാനുഗ്രഹം കൊണ്ട് അത് വിജയിച്ചു. ആൾക്കാർക്കൊക്കെ സന്തോഷമാണ്. കൂടുതൽ കുട്ടികൾക്കും അതുകൂടാതെ 60 വയസ്സ് 65 വയസ്സിനപ്പുറത്ത് ഉള്ളവർക്ക് സുഖകരമായിട്ട് വൈകുന്നേരം വന്ന് ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ കാണാനുള്ള സൗകര്യം. അപ്പോൾ അത് എൻ്റെ സ്റ്റേറ്റിൻ്റെ ഒരു കോൺട്രിബ്യൂഷനാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ആ ടെസ്റ്റ് വിജയിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ആ വിജയിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ കൊച്ചി തിരുവനന്തപുരത്ത് 85% ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഷോപ്പിംഗ് മോള് കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഞങ്ങൾ കോട്ടയത്ത് ഒരു ഹൈപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റ് വരുന്നു. എന്താണ്? സോറി. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് കോട്ടയത്ത് വരുന്നു, തൃശ്ശൂർ വരുന്നു, അതുപോലെ കോഴിക്കോട് വരുന്നു. അതുകൂടാതെ കേരളത്തിന് പുറത്തെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കോയമ്പത്തൂര്, ചെന്നൈ, ബാംഗ്ലൂർ, അതൊക്കെ ഒരു കൊല്ലത്തിനുള്ളിൽ. ഇപ്പം ഇതൊക്കെ ഈ ഡിസംബറിന് മുമ്പ് 3 പ്രൊജക്റ്റ് ഞങ്ങൾ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ തുടങ്ങേണ്ടതാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് ഓഫ് ദിസ് പാൻഡമിക് വി പോസ്റ്റ്പോൺഡ് അവർ പ്രോഗ്രാം. അപ്പോൾ ആതിര, we will open more and more Lulu, and I am very thankful to all my valued customers in Kerala.
Sir, ഒരു 3 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കൂടി ഉണ്ട്. ഐ ഹോപ്പ്
നോ പ്രോബ്ലം. അല്ല, കുട്ടികൾ ചോദിച്ചാൽ yesterday I had a web seminar and question answer session with the European University in Manchester's University. എന്നോ 1 മണിക്കൂർ ഞങ്ങൾ ടൈം കൊടുത്തു. പക്ഷെ അവർ കുട്ടികൾ സമ്മതിക്കാതെ 1 hour 45 minutes എടുത്തു. ഇതിപ്പോ ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികളില്ല. അതും കേരളല്ലേ. അല്ല, ഇത് ഇത്രയും സമയം വേണം, കൂടുതൽ വേണമായിരുന്നുവെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ 1 മണിക്കൂറാണ് ചോദിച്ചത്, അത് 1 മണിക്കൂർ തന്നു. ഇനിയും ഞാൻ 20 മിനിറ്റ് തരുന്നു. ഇനി നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഫാദറൊക്കെ വിചാരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഐ വിൽ കം ഫോർ 2 hours ബിക്കോസ് ഐ ലവ് ടു ഇന്ററാക്ട്. എനിക്ക് കുട്ടികളുടെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരുപാട് കാര്യം പഠിക്കാനുണ്ട്. ഐ ആം ആൾസോ എ സ്റ്റുഡന്റ്.
Thank you so much. Kirtana, it's your turn, please.
ഹലോ സർ, എൻ്റെ പേര് കീർത്തന.
യെസ് കീർത്തന.
നന്ദന പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഞാനും അജ്മാനിൽ നിന്നാണ് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പോ പണ്ട് തൊട്ടേ, ഇപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ചെറുതിലെ ഉള്ളപ്പോ തൊട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ലുലു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വ്യാഴാഴ്ച അവിടെ പോവാ, അതൊക്കെ ഒരു എക്സൈറ്റ്മെന്റ് ഉള്ള കാര്യമാണ്. ഇപ്പോഴായാലും ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അത് വളരെയധികം ഒരു ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ള, ഒരു എക്സൈറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. അപ്പൊ സാർ, എങ്ങനെയാണ് സാറിന്റെ ഒരു ദീർഘവീക്ഷണം? ഇപ്പൊ പണ്ട് തൊട്ട് ഇക്കാലം വരെയും എപ്പോഴും ലുലു നമുക്കൊരു എക്സൈറ്റ്മെന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ നിൽക്കുകയാണ്. ആ ഒരു ദീർഘവീക്ഷണം എങ്ങനെയാ സർ? അതുപോലെ കാലത്തിനൊത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ മാറി ഇപ്പൊ പുതിയത് വരുമ്പോ അതെല്ലാതും ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തിയിട്ട് എങ്ങനെയാണ് സർ അതിങ്ങനെ ചേഞ്ച് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നത്?
കാലാകാലത്തിനനുസരിച്ച് ചേഞ്ച് വരുത്തിയിട്ടില്ല എങ്കിൽ ആ സ്ഥാപനമോ ആ ബിസിനസ്സോ കാലാകാലത്തിനനുസരിച്ച് ഏതൊരു ബിസിനസ്സും സമയവും സന്ദർഭവും സാഹചര്യവും മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിട്ട് മാറ്റിയിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് നശിച്ചു പോകും. ഞാൻ മുമ്പ് ഒരിക്കൽ മലേഷ്യയിൽ പോയപ്പോൾ അവിടുത്തെ റീറ്റെയിലേഴ്സ് ചെറിയ റീറ്റെയിലേഴ്സിനോടൊക്കെ എന്താണ് എനിക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത് എന്ന് ഞാൻ അവരോട് പറയുകയുണ്ടായി. ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറയുകയുണ്ടായി, this things is going to change. The small retail scenario is going to change. The new generation, difficult for them to accept this. You should also make up your mind with the future generation that you think to modernize ചെയ്യണം, upgrade ചെയ്യണം. ആ സമയവും സന്ദർഭത്തിനനുസരിച്ച് അപ്ഗ്രേഡ് ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ ദിസ് ബിസിനസ് വിൽ ഡൈ. Now in my hypermarket you can see every day, every week. ഞാൻ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ചെയ്യല്ല ഫാദർ, ഡോണ്ട് തിങ്ക്. ഐ എം എ സെയിൽസ്മാൻ. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കും. അപ്പോൾ ദിവസം ചേഞ്ചസ് വരുത്തണം, വീക്കിലി ചേഞ്ചസ് വരുത്തണം, മന്ത്ലി ചേഞ്ചസ് വരുത്തണം. ഒരേ സാധനം തന്നെ വെച്ച്, ഒരേ സാധനം തന്നെ വിറ്റ്, ഒരേ സാധനം തന്നെ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് മടുപ്പ് വരും. അപ്പോൾ ടൈം അനുസരിച്ച് അതിന് ചേഞ്ച് വരുത്തണം. in my shop, ഇന്നലെ ഒരു ഹൈനസ് ആയിട്ട് സംസാരിച്ചപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു 365 days I want to sell mango. 365 days in my shop I want to sell seasonal fruits, tropical fruits. Now the new scenario, diabetic food, diet food, and gluten free. അങ്ങനത്തെ ഓരോ സിനാരിയോ ടൈം അനുസരിച്ച് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ബിസിനസ് will die. We have got about 16 countries, our logistic and food processing. United States of America, we got in New Jersey and Houston. അതുപോലെ യൂറോപ്പിൽ ബർമിംഗ്ഹാമിൽ UK, അതുകൊണ്ട് സ്പെയിനിൽ മാഡ്രിഡ്, അതുപോലെ ഇറ്റാലിയിൽ മിലാൻ, അങ്ങനത്തെ സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ, അതുപോലെ ഫാർ ഈസ്റ്റിൽ ഇന്തോനേഷ്യ, മലേഷ്യ, തായ്ലൻഡ്, അങ്ങനത്തെ സ്ഥലത്ത്. അതെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആഫ്രിക്കയിലുണ്ട്, സൗത്ത് ആഫ്രിക്ക, കേപ്പ് ടൗൺ, അതുകൂടാതെ കെനിയ, വെസ്റ്റ് ആഫ്രിക്ക. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു രാജ്യത്തെ സീസൺ ഭൂമി ഉരുണ്ടതാണല്ലോ. ഒരു സമയത്ത് സീസൺ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ കെനിയയിൽ മാങ്ങ തീരുമ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ മാങ്ങ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യും. ഇന്ത്യയിൽ മാങ്ങ നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇന്തോനേഷ്യയിൽ മാങ്ങ കൊണ്ടുവരും. ഇന്തോനേഷ്യയിൽ മാങ്ങ തീരുമ്പോൾ തായ്ലൻഡിൽ മാങ്ങ വരും. This is 365 days we should cater the people. Tropical fruits, diabetic food, seasonal fruit, berries. അപ്പോൾ അതാണ് ടൈം അനുസരിച്ച് നമ്മൾ അതിനെപ്പറ്റി വിഷനോടുകൂടി മുന്നോട്ട് പോയിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ബിസിനസ് ഇങ്ങനെ താഴ്ന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. ആയതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ടൈം അനുസരിച്ച്, ഇപ്പം മോള് എന്നോട് വിഷൻ ചോദിച്ചാൽ, അങ്ങനത്തെ വിഷൻ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലേ ഈ റീറ്റെയിൽ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി നിലനിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ഒന്ന്. രണ്ട്, ഈ ചെറിയ ബിസിനസ്സുകാരൊക്കെ അവർ മോഡേണൈസ് ചെയ്യണം, അപ്ഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. ഞാൻ 5 കൊല്ലാവുമ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ഫ്രീസേഴ്സ്, ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ടൈപ്പ് ഫ്രീസേഴ്സ് ഞാനിപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഫിക്സ് ചെയ്യണം. എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഫ്രഷ് എയർ ട്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് വന്ന് ഈ ഫ്രൂട്ട്സ് ആൻഡ് വെജിറ്റബിൾ ചിൽഡ് ഫ്രീസേഴ്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫ്രോസൺ സാധനങ്ങൾ വെക്കാൻ, ആ ഫ്രഷ്നെസ് ഉണ്ടാവാൻ വേണ്ടി ഫ്രഷ് എയർ എടുത്ത് ട്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് വെക്കുന്ന പുതിയ സിസ്റ്റം വരുന്നു. ആ പുതിയ സിസ്റ്റം റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് കൊണ്ടുവരുമ്പോൾ അത് ഫിക്സ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് സാധനങ്ങൾ ഫ്രഷായിട്ട് കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു ഐഡിയോളജി നമ്മൾ കൊണ്ടുവരണം. അതിന് നമ്മൾ കാശ് മുടക്കുന്നത് ഭയങ്കര നഷ്ടമാണ്, അയ്യോ കാശ് മുടക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, അത് തിരിച്ചു കിട്ടുമോ എന്ന് നോക്കി അവസാനം ഷോപ്പിൽ ആരും കയറാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അതാണ് മോളെ എൻ്റെ വിഷൻ.
Yes, thank you, sir. Levin, your chance, please.
I will give another 3 people. No problem. I love to stay with my students. Okay.
Yeah. Levin, make it very crisp and sweet.
Sir.
ചോദിച്ചോളൂ.
സാർ, എൻ്റെ പേര് ലിവിൻ, ഞാൻ തൃശ്ശൂരാണ്. സാർ, എൻ്റെ ചോദ്യം ഇതാണ്, അതായത് ലുലു ഈ പാൻഡമിക് സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ എംപ്ലോയീസിന്റെ സാലറി ഒന്നും റെഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ലെന്നൊരു ന്യൂസ് കേട്ടു. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു തീരുമാനം ലുലു ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ എടുക്കാൻ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് തോന്നിയത്? അതായത് ഒരു വശത്ത് 3 മാസമായിട്ട് അടച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഷോപ്പുകൾ, അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ ഈ എംപ്ലോയീസിന്റെ സാലറി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് റെഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യാണ്ടിരിക്കാൻ, അങ്ങനെ ഒരു 2 സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് ഒരുമിച്ച് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ലുലു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ തീരുമാനമെടുത്തത്?
ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ എല്ലാവരും ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിലും വിഷമത്തിലുമാണ്, ഞാനടക്കം. എൻ്റെ ബിസിനസ് 50% ആണ്. എങ്കിലും എൻ്റെ 53,000 ചില്ലാൻ എംപ്ലോയീസിന് ഞാൻ ശമ്പളം കുറച്ചിട്ടില്ല. അതും ടൈമിന് കൊടുക്കണം. ഇപ്പം ഇന്ന് കാലത്ത് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു 29-ന് ഇവിടെ സാലറി കൊടുക്കണം, കാരണം 31-ാം തീയതി ഓണാണ്. എൻ്റെ എംപ്ലോയീസിൽ കൂടുതൽ മലയാളികളുണ്ട്, അപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് ഓണം ആഘോഷിക്കണം. അത് ഓണം എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു ദേശീയ ആഘോഷമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു അവർക്ക് 29-ാം തീയതി സാലറി. നിങ്ങളെ കൊടുക്കാൻ കാശില്ലെങ്കിൽ ബാങ്കിൽ നിന്ന് കണ്ടെടുത്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ സാലറി കൊടുക്കണം. കാരണം അവർ നല്ല സമയത്ത് നമ്മുടെ കൂടെ നിന്നുണ്ട്, പിന്നെ ഈ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് സമയത്ത് അവരുടെ ശമ്പളം പിഴിഞ്ഞ് നമ്മൾ എടുക്കരുത്. കാരണം നമ്മുടെ ലാഭത്തിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ആസറ്റിലോ ഇപ്പോൾ കുറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇനിയും വാക്സിനും മരുന്നും കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചാൽ നമ്മൾക്ക് ഇനിയും ആ കാശുണ്ടാക്കാമല്ലോ. പക്ഷെ ഈ സമയത്ത് അവരെ നമ്മൾ സഹായിച്ചിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് വലിയൊരു മാനസികമായ പ്രശ്നം അവർക്കും എനിക്കും പ്രശ്നമാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് ദേ ആർ അവർ ഫാമിലി, വി ട്രീറ്റ് ദം ആസ് അവർ ഫാമിലി മെമ്പേഴ്സ്. അപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടാവുന്ന എനിക്ക് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടാവുന്ന മാതിരിയാണ്. ആയതുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ കൊച്ചിയിൽ ലുലു ഹൈപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റിൽ ജോലി ചെയ്യുന്ന ആരോടെങ്കിലും ചോദിച്ചാൽ പറയും നിങ്ങളുടെ ശമ്പളത്തിൽ കുറവുണ്ടോ എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ 1 ഉറുപ്പിക ഇതുവരെ ഞാൻ കുറച്ചിട്ടില്ല. ഈവൻ ഫൈനാൻസ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് എൻ്റെ CFO ഒരു നമ്പൂതിരി, അനന്തർ നമ്പൂതിരി ഈസ് മൈ CFO. പുള്ളി എങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞു, ഇത്ര % നമ്മൾ കുറയ്ക്കണമെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇത്ര ഉറുപ്പിക ബാങ്കിൽ നിന്ന് കൂടുതൽ എടുക്കേണ്ടി വരില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ അസറ്റിൽ നിന്ന് പോവില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു, സർ, നത്തിങ് ഡൂയിങ്, വി വിൽ ഗീവ് സാലറി ടു അവർ പീപ്പിൾ. അപ്പോൾ ആയതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു തീരുമാനം എടുത്തത്. ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള സമയത്ത് എംപ്ലോയീസിൻ്റെ കൂടെ നിൽക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു പോളിസി.
Okay, ഒരു ചെറിയ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. Our next panel member, Mr. Ramesh Menon, has a very hard-pressed deadline on 3:45, and we have to hear him because he is another tons of experience in retail. Yusuff Ali sir, ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇനിയൊരു 1-2 മണിക്കൂർ ഇനിയും ക്വസ്റ്റൻ ആൻസർ സെഷൻ വെച്ച് പോകണമെന്നുണ്ട്.
You arrange, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Father and Principal and all my friends and also our dear students. You organize a question answer session, not speech.
Yes. We will definitely arrange that.
ഇന്നലെ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ അവർ പറഞ്ഞു, we had a lot of speech. Every day we are fed up with the speech. We want to ask questions and you answer. അപ്പോൾ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ലൈക്ക് ടു ആസ്ക് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ബിക്കോസ് അവരുടെ അറിവിലുള്ളത് അവർക്ക് ചോദിച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കണ്ടേ, അറിയില്ല. എനിക്കും ഐ വിൽ ഗെറ്റ് മോർ അവരുടെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് എനിക്കും അറിവ് കിട്ടും. എനിവേ, താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച് ഫോർ
Thank you so much, sir, for this.
I hope everybody enjoyed.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
So, because of paucity of time, even though we wanted to hear him for long, we are unable to because of paucity of time. Next, the person to speak about the industry perspective is Mr. Ramesh Menon. He is a postgraduate from XLRI with over 30 years of experience in corporate companies, corporate life. Within that, he has spent more than 6 years in the top decision-making posts of retail sector in India. Okay, the roles that he has donned in the connection to retail segment are the CEO of Hypercity. And contextually, I should mention that he was in charge of Hypercity when Hypercity launched the first cashierless store in Infosys, Bangalore. He has also served as a CEO of small format stores of Future Group. He was also a senior vice president and chief operating officer for Spencer's Retail for over 3 years. Incidentally, he was my boss's boss when I worked with Spencer as well. Currently, he is serving as the chief business officer, digital innovations and new business, HT Media Limited. And no, as I said, I had the fortune to work under his leadership at Spencer, and he's a very articulate business visionary. And over to you, Mr. Ramesh Menon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind word. I'm sorry I had to rush this entire thing because I'm sure the students would have preferred to listen to Mr. Yusuff Ali rather than listening to me. But having said that, here I am. Right, a very good afternoon to all of you. Dr. Watatara, Dr. Joji.
I'm sorry, there is some disturbances. Please carry on.
You probably mute everybody.
Yeah, I will.
So, very good afternoon to Reverend Dr. Watatara, Dr. Joseph, Mr. Yusuff Ali, and all of the esteemed professors, guests, and students of Rajagiri Center of Business Studies. It's a real pleasure and privilege to be here to address you this afternoon. I think there's very little I can say about retail after Mr. Yusuff Ali has spoken, but I will make an attempt anyway. Right? These are challenging times, and a time of great opportunity for all of us. The situation is unprecedented and beyond anyone's plan or imagination. I don't think any of us have really planned for any of this to happen, or anyone has a contingency plan for this situation. And it's imperative that we prepare ourselves for a future that is very, very different from the one we have experienced so far. I say that it's a very great opportunity for all of us because for the first time, I think there is a level playing field. You can be 50 years in the business, 100 years in the business. It doesn't really matter because what the future holds is anybody's guess, right? And never before has there been such a level playing field and such a democratic space for anybody to succeed in the future. So future therefore is there for the taking, and everyone suddenly has an equal chance to shine in that future. Past success is not a guarantee for future success, and past experience, if you've worked in a company for 30 years or 20 years or 40 years, it's really no indicator of a capability to handle that future. It's a chance for all of us to ride that wave and come out at the end of this epidemic or the pandemic as a very different from the way we entered. I think that while you would like me to speak specifically about the retail industry, I think Mr. Yusuff Ali has spoken, and it's important that I don't follow up on the retail industry immediately after he has spoken, because I think that will be disrespectful, because I have no experience as much as he has. I believe that what we need to do is equally applicable to anyone in every industry, and I'm sure many of you will not be joining the retail industry, you might be joining other industries, and many of you are from other industries. So I think irrespective of category, size, scale, geography, or age of organization, I think what I'm going to speak about will really be applicable. And I think Mr. Yusuff Ali mentioned it as well. The first big change and the visible in the industry is really a blurring of lines, and I think this is the overriding change. This is the overarching change that will happen in the industry. A blurring of lines between online and offline. People are still constantly referring to offline to online and online to offline. I think none of this will exist anymore. It will actually be online and offline. Every business will now have to look at omni-channel seamlessly online and offline. And that, the omni-channel word was more a strategy document, a consultant speak kind of a word earlier. But today, everyone will have to make it reality. And Mr. Ali really spoke about how they're doing it with Lulu and how they were not prepared for it. The most important thing in the omni-channel scenario is a single view of the customer. And retailers starting to look at everything from a customer's lens. You are the one entity, the customer is one entity, and she can access your store any which way she wants, any way she chooses at her convenience. And that's what the omni-channel experience will be all about. So you have to enable your organization to make that happen by changing your lens to a consumer's lens. No more should we confuse our business with a go-to-market model. E-commerce or physical store were all go-to-market models. Right now, there is no more, a separation of this go-to-market model. And I think it's important that we look at it from the consumer's point of view, and the way she wants to be serviced, wherever she wants to be serviced, whenever she wants to be serviced, whatever way she wants to be serviced, right? So if she wants products at home, she wants to go to the store, she wants to pick up in the store, all of this should be available for you. And that is the single most important change that will come. And if retailers and organizations understand this entire digital mindset along with the physical mindset, they will succeed. That being a sort of a given, what would organizations need to do? And I think there's much more to it, and all kinds of organizations would need to do in this era or in the new normal to remain relevant. I think it's time to really look at what we need to do in 2021 rather than worrying about what is in 2020. And I think it's important that we start looking at planning for 2021. Consider 2020 a bad dream, except for students. I think it's a great thing that you're studying at this point of time. There is no other opportunity, no better thing to do right now than study. Even if you're working in the industry, this is the best time to get out of the industry, start studying, do your MBA, do whatever else you want to do, and get back into the industry, because there is no better time to study. And when you come out of your studies, or when you come out in the industry in 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, whatever time, I think it'll be a great place to be in, because that's the time when things will be booming, right? And I think we should start looking at this like that. I mean, you almost start with the Indian financial year. I mean, normally in North India, at least, the financial year starts in October after Diwali. Let's look at our financial year also as post-Diwali. Or if you're in Kerala, let's look at it as post-Onam. Maybe it won't be Onam, but maybe it's October, November, December is when you should start. So spend October, November, December preparing for 2021 and look at it as a runway for 2021. And 2021, as you get into January and February, look at how you can, transform your business as a result of all the preparatory work that you've done. So what are my real tips for 2021 and how you as a retailer or you as a person joining the industry, need to look at your business? I think things are going to be very different. I would say it's time for everyone to take a hard look at their existing business and prepare for the consequences of, whatever has happened so far, and prepare for a new era going forward. We have to do what, in a sense, a lot of people have told us to do these things, but we have ignored them. Whenever people have told us, change this, become digitally oriented, change your processes, re-engineer your processes, cut costs, we've always ignored them. Consultants have told us, our, your well-wishers have told us, but we've always, there's always been resistance within the organization to, not to do these things. And people have always said no when you try to do these things. And this is your time to make sure that you do all of the things that you could not do in the last 3-4 years. This is our chance to actually make those changes that we always wanted to do but could never do because of resistance, because of inertia, and make that happen. This is our chance to, make sure the preparations and planning to restructure if required, reinvent, reset, rebuild for the future that we're seeing before us. By force of circumstances, that by diktat, we need to make that change happen, and we need to plan with a sense of urgency to do it quickly. And more importantly, the advantage that you have today is everybody is aware of the fact that you need to become more digital. Earlier, it was difficult to transform people digitally. Now everyone's aware, everyone in their personal lives has become more digital. And so it's important that you use this opportunity to make that change happen for all organizations, whether you're a retail organization or any other organization. Number one tip is really be comfortable with this ambiguity. Accept that change is the one constant, and use the time to unlearn and learn. I mean, whatever industry you are in, whatever stage in your career you're in, use this time to unlearn and learn. None of those things that you learned in the past may be relevant in the future, and be prepared for new learnings. Right? No one knows how the future will pan out, and it's a level playing field like never before. And here's your chance to make sure that you catch up, correct, and convert the adverse circumstances into a great opportunity. The first step, though, is not, first step, though, is to, all of us panic, saying, oh, what will happen, what will happen, what will happen. I don't think, you need to panic, be calm, and get used to the uncertainty. Managing uncertainty, managing ambiguity is the top skill that any professional will require in the future. And so whichever industry you are in, if you can develop this skill, and sometimes it's God-given, sometimes it's natural ability, but if you can develop this ability to handle ambiguity, not lose your calm, not lose your patience in this kind of thing, it will require flexibility, it will require agility, and it will require a willingness and ability to unlearn and learn constantly. Then here is your opportunity. And that's the single most important thing that you need to do. The second thing that you would really need to do is look at, if you're in an organization, retail organization or otherwise, is really about business process reengineering. Shaking up and reevaluation of all your existing processes. Business process engineering has to be moved from a strategy document, a consultant's project, to real activity in the organization. It has to move from a fancy word to a actual, what you do in the organization. And restructuring of business process reengineering would mean, process simplification. Can you reduce your processes by half? Right? Can you delayer hierarchies? Can you reduce 10 to 20% of the layers in the organization? Can you eliminate all non-value added? A lot of non-value added tasks are done in every organization. I mean, including a university, for example. Can you remove some of these things? Can you use this opportunity to remove all these things? Can you rethink all age-old practices? And, I think there's no better time for all of you to do this than now, because everybody's willing to accept it now. 6 months later, people will not be willing to accept it and there will be resistance. So right now, in the wave of COVID, use the COVID excuse and make all these changes that you can right now. I think tip number 3 would be, update your and your organization's digital personality. This is the time to be actually involved in the digital transformation of the company or the organization, whether you're an university, whether you are a retailer, whether you're an organization, whether you're an individual. The work from home POC, it's been a proof of concept, right? The work from home. It's given us a big push forward and has shown that if push comes to shove, all of us will change it. And even my mother, who's 78 years old, has started doing Zoom calls. If my mother can make a digital transformation at this age, I don't see any reason why every single one in their organizations or outside cannot make that digital transformation. In other words, if you're not already part of the world's largest migrant community, and what I call the world's largest migrant community is the digital migrant, right? It's time for you to become part of that migrant. When we talk about people going to Dubai or people coming back from Dubai, we talk about migration, right? Here is the biggest migration that you need to do, which is your digital migration, right? Make sure you're part of that migration. Make sure you're part of the organization digital migration. Make sure that you are wearing your digital mask before you're helping others, and making sure that you're part of the organizational digital transformation in every way that you can. So when you're going out as students, make sure that you're diving into it. Don't become part of the old. Don't become part of the dinosaurs. Become part of the new, which is helping your organization to move forward, right? That's tip number 3. And tip number 4 is look at your costs completely afresh. Some of you asked this question of what will you do with, to Mr. Yusuff Ali about, what will you do on the cost? Can people get their jobs back? What will you do for, this is the time to cut costs. There will be enough jobs coming. Don't worry. Every time there's a depression, there is new jobs that are created. There is nothing that if you have optimism and if you have passion, there's no shortage of jobs that's going to happen in the future. Maybe it'll take 3 months, maybe it'll take six months. But today is the time to correct and reorient your organization for all the costs that you've added, all the flab that you've added, all the fat that you've accumulated over time. This is the time for exercising, building your body, building your organizational body, and making sure that you're dieting to make sure that you can survive for the future, right? Make sure that you're looking at your costs from a zero-based budgeting perspective. And a lot of us tend to, as a first reaction to cost cutting, resist. Don't resist and passionately start, you start passionately justifying existing cost. And that can be true of universities, organizations, or any other place, right? There is no other way now. The hidden buffers, inefficiencies, all of them need to go, and you need to plan for zero-based budgeting. So make sure that you are brave enough to break the foundation of your costs and build your cost structures for the future, because your revenues are down. Here's the time to correct your costs and then build from there again. That's step number 4. And step number 5 is really to, like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see, right? Nothing is more important at this point of time than managing this change. The culmination of everything you do on the other 4 tips that I gave on business engineering, cost optimization, digital transformation, etc. You need to manage the change. And as an organization person or in an organization, whatever the kind of organization you are, it's important to communicate. Interaction, connectedness, making sure that even if you're digital, you're connected with your people, connected with your consumers, connected with your employees is very, very critical. And make sure that feedback is going back and forth so that people don't lose that connect with the organization. A lot of people are doing it through webinars, a lot of people are doing it through con calls, but it's important that all of us understand that this is the single most important need of the future, which is really managing the change. And this managing change cannot, happen by just slogans and, diktats and, giving fancy speeches from a forum. It has to be really about honesty, transparency, and building credibility. You have to walk the talk, and hopefully people will then believe you and trust you and accept it. You will have to genuinely be the change that you want to see. And this is our opportunity to make sure that that we are part of that change. So learn to get comfortable with ambiguity. Make sure that you're re-engineering your processes, delayering, eliminating, rethinking your existing practices. Update your digital self, your organizational self. Look to participate in the transformation journey. Optimize your costs, rationalize your costs, and manage the change and be the change you want to see. That's really my advice for everybody, whether you're an organization, whether you're a student, whether you're a person who's just joined an organization, or if you're senior in an organization. That's all I have for today. Thank you very much for having me here. And my best wishes to all of you for the future, that we all have, and you should remember that we all have an equal chance in this future. So keep your hopes high, take care of yourself, take care of your health. But please remember, optimism is the single biggest medicine that you can carry with you all the time. If you're optimistic, if you're passionate, if you are humble, if you are energetic, and if you are resilient, you can survive any crisis in the world. And this crisis is like everything else. There are enough case studies on what happened in the last crisis and the previous crisis and the Great Depression and everything else. And there's nothing to worry about, because as students especially, when you come out, everything will be perfectly clear and everything will be a level playing field, and you can rise to whatever you want. So look at starting new businesses. We're looking at a self-confident India. We're looking at a self-reliant India. Look at starting many more businesses. I mean, this is your opportunity. Funding is easier. Everything is easy today compared to what it was in our days. So here's your chance. Take it and make sure that you're riding the wave. So let's make sure that we use this opportunity and don't waste it. I wish the Institute and you're doing great things. And I wish the Institute and all of you here the very best, and make the next few years, let's make the next few years the best years of our life for yourself, for your organization, and for the country as well. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.
Thanks, Ramesh. I hope you have a quick time for 2 quick questions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Vivek, you have the chance.
I hope I didn't go too fast. I mean, I speak fast.
No, I understand. Let's accept the fact that we are crunched for time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. And it is really honor to listen, Mr. Ramesh. Sir, you shared very quick insight and very deep insight regarding industry and how to face and deal with the change. Sir, my question is related to the change required for the student. For example, what are the key technical skills of gradation required for the retail specialization MBA student to make them ready for the industry? So if you could give some insights.
I have just one single piece of advice. Don't be industry ready from a single industry's perspective. Be industry ready from a personal perspective. The single most important skill sets I told you is learning agility. And specializing in industry when you don't know which industry is going to work in the near future is unnecessary. Look at yourself as a specialist for any industry. I've worked in FMCG, I've worked in telecom, I've worked in retail, I've worked in Dubai in metal recycling, and I've worked now in media. And today it makes me capable of going into any industry at any point of time. So don't look at yourself, there is past wisdom that says that look at yourself as a specialist and so on. I think to be ready for the future, you have to be agile. And the single most important word that startups use nowadays is pivoting. You should be able to pivot at any point of time. You should be agile enough to pivot, flexible enough to pivot. You should be ready to understand, learn, unlearn at any point of time in your life. I know I joined the media industry only 1 year ago. We started 5 startups in the last 1 year in the media industry, right? So I learned about it in the last 1 year, and nobody would have expected that I would join the media industry, but I joined and they accepted me, right? So be ready for any industry, be ready to learn. Only skill that you need is the willingness to learn, the ability to learn, the willingness to unlearn and learn again and again and again. That's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Ranjit, it is your turn.
Yes. Hi, Ramesh.
There is some problem in the audio, Ranjit. No, your audio is not very clear.
Ranjit and
Sorry, we can look for another question, I think.
Yeah. Or I think Ranjit has texted me. Can you hear me now, Ramesh?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Now, what his question is, 90% of the retail is. Ranjit, I'm asking the question. 90% of the retail is unorganized, and if that is the case, how should we look for this, omni-channel presence if 90% is unorganized? That's his question.
What companies like
part of the Rajagiri alone.
I'm sorry, Ranjit. You are. Yeah. Can you tell now, please?
See, you should understand that the unorganized sector, especially in metros and urban areas or even other places, they are already omni-channel, right? They deliver to you in your house. They allow you to pick up. You can go to the store. They are omni-channel. It's only the organized sector and the retailers of our kind who never were omni-channel. Omni-channel is a standard process for all Indian traditional retailers, right? So it is not for them to learn. It is for us to learn omni-channel. So you don't worry about them. They will take care of themselves. They have always been delivering home. You might have been ordering on the phone. You might tomorrow be able to order on an app as well, because there are many companies already looking at creating apps for retailers. Reliance is doing it. Metro's done it. Levers is doing it. So many people are doing it. So omni-channel was always a traditional unorganized sector specialty. In most markets in this country, it is organized retailers who need to understand and really realize what omni-channel is all about. And I think the moment organized retailers realize what it is, then there will be a much larger industry that's going to think, and retailers will survive as well. Small retailers will always be there in India because traffic is a problem. Getting to places is a problem. People who don't want to drive long distances to go to a retailer. So therefore, in India, organized sector, unorganized sector, all of them will survive. All of them will be omni-channel over a period of time, or all of them have to be omni-channel over a period of time. That's my view.
Great. I think there are no more hands raised in the chat window. I should say I've never seen or never heard somebody so optimistic about this situation than you. I mean, probably you made it sound really rosy for everyone, and I hope people will take positive cues about it and do something about it in their life. Thank you so much for being a guest on this webinar, and thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, now participants, we'll go to the next keynote speaker, who is my own colleague from Rajagiri College of Social Science. He is Dr.Joji Alex. He is an associate professor with Rajagiri College of Social Science in the area of marketing. He holds a postgraduate degree in economics and management. He also holds a doctoral degree, and his expertise area is in the area of marketing. He is also a visiting scholar and visiting faculty at Western Michigan, Kalamazoo, USA. He is a prolific academic researcher and a consultant to the industry. His area of consulting expertise is in the areas of market potential analysis, market entry strategies, and he's highly rated as a great teacher in our institution. Over to you, Dr. Joji Alex.
Thank you, Abhilash, sir, for those kind words of introduction. So I'll take somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes. So respected panelists from the industry, Padma Shri Yusuff Ali sir, Ramesh Menon sir, respected administrators from Rajagiri College, participants, alumnus, colleagues, and my dear students. So I believe the prime trend in retail before COVID, during COVID, or post-COVID would be the rise of experiential retail. Just looking into the international investment and trade patterns, I find that the scope and scale of retail is determined very naturally. There are a lot of factors, but the natural factors are: one, the cost pressure and the purchasing power driven demand, and two, reverse incremental innovation, the greatest realization that products innovated for developing markets have got a similar or a near similar consumer segment in developed markets. Augmented reality and virtual reality is making experiential retail possible. And I believe it is going to stay and flourish because this is what the customers want, particularly millennials and younger to them. And this is also needed for the O2O, online, offline, to flourish. And the isolation posed by COVID has only increased the demand for AR systems. And many companies are actually practicing it. Lacoste, IKEA, Amazon, and so forth. A study recently says that augmented retail, both online and in-store, by 2020, around 100 million customers would have used it. Now, the only essential condition, what they say is you need to have a 5G network for the greatest of experience. My question is, will augmented reality be confined to the leaders in 5G network technology? Now, I would like to pose those questions for a while and take it up towards the end of my presentation. But then in the meanwhile, I would like to share with you some of the leading trends in the retail sector. The first trend is the point of sale system integration to a business model called e-commerce business model. So basically you're talking about online, offline synchronization, centralized just-in-time inventory, decentralization of pricing and promotion to enhance sales. Now, this is not anything new. This has been done by Walmart for the last 35 years. Only thing is, with costs falling, it has started diffusing down. The other thing what is looked at POS is the faster checkout system. That is, today you are experiencing something called the touchless pay, which is most common. But then the greatest challenge is when I go to shop in most of these outlets, I find that the purchased SKU billing time is very high. Now, there is already a solution there. Many countries, you adopt something called the in-cart automated billing. Continuing to this challenge, today you have trend 2, that is called staff-free stores. So basically, this is a store installed by Amazon in Seattle, and then during the COVID times, totally staff-free. And then basically, as we know that social distancing is the driver. And here you have a shopping experience called checkout free or touch free. Now, this model is replicated throughout the United States. So basically, you are trying to reimagine the whole retail landscape. So that is how things are moving. Trend 3 is robotics, last mile delivery. I think most of you are familiar with this sort of last mile delivery robots. Roboting for shelf auditing. That is from the vendor's side, filling the shelf, analyzing the shelf inventory, pricing them, tracking them. And also robots for navigating, helping the customer navigate within the stores so that he can spot or she can spot the good very fast without wasting much of a time. And then not only that, it is doing some sort of an artificial intelligence gathering or information gathering with regard to customer preferences. And the last is cleaning. So basically robotics is trend 3. Trend 4, you're all very familiar with this, act to your voice. You have heard about all these, or at least Alexa. Trend 5 is machine learning for forecasting. That is data warehousing, data mining has been there in place for the last 30 years. But then today you're talking about a more integrated system or a faster system called machine learning, where into which you get valuable insights into human behavior from sales data analysis. So what makes the difference is the speed of analysis, building in the latest data in a very accurate manner, as well as identifying a whole lot of hidden patterns. Now, what does it mean? It means you get better, you can do better CRM, better marketing campaigns, better order fulfillment and logistics, and also flow management. And trend 6 is called data-based personalization. This is something which everybody here in this audience would have experienced. You know that, or Amazon today, 35% of sales in Amazon is driven by the recommendation engine. The AI knows and tells the customer, understanding his previous behavior, even before the customer has really thought into it. And this is how artificial intelligence works. So you're trying to give very personalized recommendation to each shopper. Now I come back to my original question. Is augmented reality and virtual reality for of you who lead the 5G technology? My simple answer is no. It's because I find we are in an era of skip marketing. Basically, we know that technology over a period of time becomes very cheap, and then you can leapfrog technology. That is, you need not walk down steps 1, 2, 3 to 10, but then you can jump from step 2 directly to step 10. And then if you look into developed countries, you find that their infrastructure is old or obsolete, I would say, and it incurs a lot of cost. Obviously, there is a whole lot of opportunity there, but then that is not what we're going to discuss. And it is easier to develop such systems in a developing country, particularly when you talk about Internet of Things or machine-to-machine integration or machine learning. So when we propose something called skip marketing, we are challenging the basic assumption of economic leadership. So basically, it poses me to this question: where will the next experiential retail explosion happen? So I was just trying to do a demographic study. I find that the next explosion in retail has to happen in Africa, because Africa is an unwanted continent today. But then if you really watch Africa, you find that superpowers are racing behind securing markets in Africa, because there are around 1.3 billion people there. The next happening place can be some regions in Southeast Asia. Basically, we know that if you compare Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Laos, their purchasing power parity is much higher than India. Whereas if you take Vietnam, you find that their purchasing power parity is almost in par with India. Certain countries like Myanmar or Cambodia or Timor, the purchasing power is slightly lower than India, but then you can make things happen there because there are people. There is people and the population is growing. Similarly, South America, there are around 430 million people. The population is growing. So this is my experience I would like to share with you. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Dr. Joji Alex. It was really knowledgeable that you have scouted for these informations and packaged it in a really sensible manner to throw lights on the possible trends which could be thrown at us by this pandemic and what effects those will have on the retail scenario. Now, this is the time for the participants to raise questions to Dr. Joji Alex. I'm assuming that the other participants have already left the group. So any questions, or I think collectively as a group of academicians, we could even think of addressing your questions from our own limited knowledges, even though you might have wanted to ask the question, specific question to, let's say, either Yusuff Ali sir or Ramesh Menon. So if you have some sort of a pressing question to ask collectively to the academic community, because that's all left with us in terms of Rajagiri webinar series, this is the time. Yes, Vivek, you have something to say?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would like to thank Dr. Joji Alex, sir. Sir, it is really insightful session. And you have added what is actually required for the getting industry ready. My question remains same, which I asked to Professor Dr. Menon also, that if we want to equip our students for the retail industry, for example, like there is robotics, there is AI. So these all are the things and specialization in engineering. And usually when we have a student, for example, in agriculture university, we have BSc agriculture who know the basic of agriculture. Then they get to know about the fundamental of food retail management. Then how we can make them equipped to get ready with these skills? If you could share your idea, because this is really insightful that you shared the major trends about the industry. Thank you so much, sir, for that.
All the technology products are employee friendly and customer friendly. So I think we need not really bother about getting used to using them. We can use it as naturally as possible. You need not worry too much into it, because I would say that the POS system was introduced in America in 1977. POS, computerized billing, was introduced in Walmart in 1977. So that's not anything new. So all these systems has been in place for long. I think there is an unwarranted worry. Most of these products are pro-employee, pro-customer, and to a large extent automated.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Joji, with your permission, may I want to add on something to it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, in fact, I also used to work with retail industry maybe a decade and a half before. So in that sense, I'm pretty old in that sense. But I see some of the transformations which happened for retail industry over the past 15 years, and majority of it, barring the last 5 years, the transformation of this industry has been driven by internal pressures. When I say internal pressures, it is more on the top line and bottom line pressures which has transformed the industry. So if I want to recollect that, when I joined this industry in Spencer's, it was total chaos. If you want to start a new store, it was chaotic operation. So from that chaos, industry has evolved to more structured, more methodical way of functioning. Then came the supply chain integration, then came the technology integration, then came the e-tailing integration. And in the last 5 years, we have seen this industry is transforming through mergers and acquisitions. In fact, that's the only phase which is till now in retail has been influenced by the external environment. Rest all has been internal environment driven changes. So from that perspective, this situation is completely driven by external environments. And hence, I think in the way forward, the kind of skills we need is the kind of negotiating power that we need to have towards our different stakeholders, other stakeholders, for example, vendors and suppliers. Now, till now, retail industry has been working on margin-based business models, which means you sell a product, your selling price minus cost price is your margin, and then you create profits out of it. That was the main model which we deal till now. Now, I think that's a very risky model going forward. And I think there will be some amount of discussion in the entire retailing industry to reinvent the business model to look at more stakeholder involvement. Just to give an example, I think the retail industry will be going towards a scenario or a business model where they would try looking at space selling with a more aggressive intent so that they can reduce their business exposure risks. Okay, and so if that is the case, I think, Vivek, it should be a very interesting proposition for all the schools who are preparing students for retail industry to equip them with good negotiation skills. Okay, that is something which has to be a part of the curriculum going forward. That's something which I had to say from my little experience of this industry. Okay, so I don't see any more questions on the chat window. Let me get to my final part of this webinar series. Now, may I welcome Dr. Saju, MD, CMI, who holds a postgraduate degree of social work from Loyola College, has a PhD in the area of child development. He is also pursuing a postdoc from York University. He is an international visiting faculty in prestigious social work colleges across universities in US and Europe. Currently, he is also serving as the vice principal and associate director for Rajagiri institutions. So I welcome you, sir, to propose the word of thanks.
Thank you, Abhilash. Good evening to you all. COVID-19 has caught the world unawares and continues to send shockwaves across industry globally. The retail industry has not been spared, and consumer behavior, product demand, fund flow, inventory, logistics service availability, etc., have all been impacted. It is in the light of this background that Rajagiri College of Social Sciences organized this webinar, discuss the emerging trends in retail industry looking beyond the pandemic. This webinar threw light on the new challenges that have emerged and offered rich insights on how the retail segment is stepping up to them. We were fortunate to have experts with extensive experience in the field to talk on the topic. Thanks to our speakers. Let me first express our sincere gratitude to Mr. Yusuff Ali, Chairman and Managing Director, Lulu Group, for having accepted our invitation to be a speaker at this webinar. I thank Mr. Yusuff Ali for the valuable thoughts and wisdom shared today with great optimism. It was great to have Mr. Ramesh Menon, Chief Business Officer, Digital Innovation and New Businesses HT Media Limited on our panel today. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh, for the insights shared with great optimism. Thanks to Reverend Father Matthew Watatara, our director, for his presence and blessings. I thank Dr. Binoy Joseph, Principal, and Dr. Sunil, Director of RBS, Father Francis, Assistant Director, for taking the lead in organizing this webinar. Thanks to Dr.Joji Alex, Associate Professor, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, for very informative session. And I also thank Professor Abhilash Nambudiri, Assistant Professor, Rajagiri Business School, for being a wonderful moderator for this webinar. I also thank all the organizers and facilitators. Thanks to all who joined live. Thank you.
Yeah, so it was great having everyone here. Let me extend my own thanks to the entire panelists, Padma Shri, Dr. Yusuff Ali, Mr. Ramesh Menon, Dr. Joji Alex, all the top management of Rajagiri institutions, our director and associate director, Father Saju. Thanks a lot, and thanks all for the participants. Without your active participation, I'm sorry that I couldn't accommodate a lot of questions because of positive time. But I think probably I can give a word with the permission of my top management that Mr. Yusuff Ali will be coming to our college, or we'll have another session to clear all your doubts or to have more interactions with an eminent personality like him. I think that's a word I can give you on behalf of the top management. I think I'm taking the liberty to say this in front of you all. Thank you so much for being a wonderful participant, and it's a pleasure to host you for this fourth leg of webinar series of Rajagiri institutions. Thank you so much, and signing off.